Hi, my name is Genesis, and this podcast is for DTC 375 for Washington State University. The discussion will be based on the topic Medium is the Message by Marshal McLuhan. I will be focusing on how social media platforms like Twitter or Insta serve to be more important than the tweets or snaps themselves. I will also be introducing my friend Gotti, who is not familiar with the topic. In doing so, it allowed me to break down the quote in simpler terms to anyone who stumbles upon this theory and serve as a refresher for myself. So, Gotti, I'm just going to jump right in, and I have my notes here with me.
Oh my god, okay, let me prepare myself.
When I say medium is the message, what do you think that means?
I don't even know what you mean when you say medium.
Okay, well, like in art, when we ask what medium you are using, what are you using to make this art? Is it acrylic, oil? What kind of canvas are you using? In terms of media, we ask, what platform are you using? The way Marshal McLuhan had described it, the light switch is the medium, and the electricity is the information being sent to the light bulb to turn on. If I'm just describing it right, hopefully the car key is the medium, and the message is that I have a running car. And I'm not sure, how cars work, but by me turning on the ignition, I'm sending a message to the car to turn on the engine. Without the key, I can't really have a functioning car. The key is the medium. The key itself could be a euphemism if we explore that even more.
Okay, I kind of see what you mean.
Yay! Okay, so when we say medium is a message, we're implying that the medium has, if not more importance than the message. The car key is more important than the car. The light switch has more importance than the light bulb itself. A few weeks ago, when we were assigned this reading, just like you, I was extremely confused and I did not understand it. And after a few more readings and somewhat of an understanding, I decided to use the best platform to educate yourself when you're stuck on a problem and you have no solution. YouTube!
For real, YouTube really be the best teacher.
Right? And when you think about it, YouTube is the message. And all those videos I watched, it's I guess it's the message too. But without YouTube, there's no way that I would have been able to have this conversation with you, because without those videos, what other platform would I have learned it better on? And just for emphasis, YouTube is more important than the video itself. I'm going to be doing that often. I'm kind of sorry.
That actually helped me a lot, so keep going.
Great. Okay, great. So, the way we send and receive messages is more important than the message itself. And when we think about our political climate and everything that's been going on with, the elections, so many people have opinions and things that they want to say. Social media has been such a great tool for us to, be involved and have our voices be heard. Whereas before social media, we've just been listening. Prior to social media, we have been receivers of these messages through radio and television. And now with our new platforms like Twitter and Facebook, Instagram, we have become producers of messages, like this podcast. Okay, so this is just a question, but if you had a very strong opinion and you wanted to share it, what platform would you use?
Probably Twitter.
Okay, thank God, I was hoping you'd say that.
I mean, nobody uses Tumblr anymore, so who's going to see? I'm not going to make a blog to post it on Pinterest, and there's way too many people on Facebook that will attack me if they don't like what I'm saying, especially the old-ass people.
Exactly. What other platform can we use to spark some social change? Which brings me to my topic on how platforms like Twitter are more important than the tweets we're sending. So, Gotti, do you remember when Trayvon Martin died? I think around 2012, and there was this huge buzz, and I don't want to say that it sparked the civil rights movement, because there has been a civil rights movement in our history that has addressed brutality against black people, but it sparked a social movement that kept this conversation going. It has led to the Black Lives Matter movement, and now it has such a greater impact than it did 7 years ago. The simple hashtag Black Lives Matter exploded on Twitter, and the attraction to Trayvon's case increased millions on the globe. It was no longer an American discussion, it was a global discussion. And maybe we should say that the hashtag is more important than the message attached to it. But, what better platform to use a hashtag?
Yeah, I don't even use hashtag unless it's, for Twitter. This sounds really dumb, but you will not catch me using hashtags on Facebook, just because, to me, Facebook is more, for grown-ass people. And I know that sounds terrible. And even now, I associate hashtags on Instagram to people who are trying to become influencers by trying to rack up a bunch of likes and follows.
But on Twitter, that's a whole nother story. It's a conversation starter, like you said, and it's That's like the key I talked about. You know, we're not seeing hashtag like for like,
Hashtag shout out for shout out.
hashtag follow for follow. Okay. So, I'm glad we're talking about it. The hashtag is more important than the message, but not confuse it with hashtag blah blah blah. We're talking about the actual hashtag symbol, and you know, not to be confused with the message that's like attached to it.
Okay, I got it.
Okay, so now you know how we were talking about hashtags on Instagram.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I agree, and I see what you mean when you say like hashtags are for like influencer wannabes, and that's probably in fault because no one uses hashtags as often as they did in 2014. But do you remember when like the whole Me Too movement was happening, and like Twitter exploded on Instagram? And I think since like it was models and actresses who were being targeted, I think that a lot of the following comes from Instagram. And because they were so active on Instagram versus Twitter, the hashtag garnered a lot of attention, just as it did on Twitter.
Okay, I'm a little confused now.
Okay, what's up?
If Twitter's the medium, isn't the message a hashtag?
I mean, I haven't thought of it that way, but like I'm guessing I'm focusing more on tweet as the message, because the hashtag doesn't belong to Twitter. In one of the videos that I had watched, they were talking about humans use tools as an extension to ourselves, and I think that the hashtag is a tool that we use as an extension to Twitter, the medium.
Okay, I get it.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, you're asking questions, so that's good. So, Twitter, the medium, is the message, but since we're talking about hashtags, the medium in itself is a message too. And if we want to like take it away from all social media platforms and just focus on the hashtag symbol itself. So now that you kind of like get the gist of like what I'm trying to say, we can take this like discussion from Twitter and we can apply it towards like the news and other important information. So as an example, a few weeks ago I saw that Trump was going to establish Antifa and the KKK as a terrorist group. And I saw this information on someone's Instagram story, and I thought, like, oh, how convenient, you know, because it's just days before the debate. But finally, Trump is doing something good for this country that I can back up. And I had the nerve, the audacity to be telling everybody this great news. And when they asked me where I read it, I had this, like, realization come down on me. The person who had posted it on their story, very much Trump supporter, which I would say to each their own. And I've decided to, like, look up for the information and, like, you know, figure out where it was from.
Where was it from?
The New York Post. I have been telling everyone this information that was on the New York Post, like a very not credible source. This is like the Daily Mail, you know? So, I received a fake article on Instagram, and as a reminder, the way we send and receive information is more important than the message itself. So what does that mean that the medium is an Insta story, that it's like not credible?
Basically spreading fake news.
Yeah, but if there were other credible sources, then yes, like the medium is a message, but you see the issue, right? So now that we've like become producers of like the media, there's this issue of like what type of creators we want to be. You know, we could have a huge mass following, and we could also post like a fake article. And I don't know how I'm saying this, but we need to be more critical and, like, I guess think about, like, what audience we're reaching when it comes to stuff like that.
Like Trump? Kind of?
That is a good example.
like Trump?
Trump uses Twitter like nobody's business. I think Trump uses social media, like, as a really good way to, like, garner attention and kind of have his voice kind of be out there, because I mean, when we think about like all of the other presidents that we've had, they've always had like a very well kept and reserved appearance when it comes to like any opinion. I feel like a lot of this stuff has been like curated and like gone through a series of people and been like, okay, yeah, can I post this? And I feel like Trump has like a free reign of his like Twitter because he's, you know, the president. He's like, no, my Twitter. And I guess you can kind of say that he's using his right of speech, you know.
Nah, he plays.
Yeah. But, I mean, now we see, like, for example, have we seen that Biden, not a campaign, that, like, vote for Biden commercial on TikTok?
Oh, yeah.
And it was, like, it was talking about how Donald Trump is the only president that doesn't have a dog, and every president prior has a dog, right? And it like shows like the presidents and their dogs, and then it was like Biden and his dog, and it was like vote for Biden, and then that I feel like it reached so many like other kids that are on TikTok, and I guess it kind of like brings the message to them. And we can also say that that video isn't the message. What was the message was the TikTok, because it's reaching millions of people on like on a global scale. And I mean, we've even had issues that like Trump wants to ban TikTok, you know,
the scariest moment.
And I feel like he's doing that because I think like it's garnering like a lot of attention to like civil movements and stuff, and how do you say this, like it's just spreading wokeness, you know?
Yeah, there's no other way to put it.
Yeah,
Other than that, yeah.
Okay, that's a good conversation.
Wow. Oh, you know what?
Okay.
You know what has me messed up? This is like totally off topic,
Okay.
but have you seen Univision lately?
Yes. Well,
when they're
no,
like,
not lately, but yes.
But there was like this commercial about like Latinos for Trump, and I thought it was like a prank. It's fucking real.
Wait, so you said that it was on the news?
Yeah.
Okay, so Karima was talking about how there's this Mexican news network cast called, what was it called? Univision.
Univision. No, Univision is a channel. It's like a commercial.
Oh, okay.
And it's saying like, Latinos vote for Trump. Like, bitch, you know for a fact they know Latino voting for Trump.
Right.
But it's like basically like, you know, telling others.
That's crazy. And because that in itself, like, the platform that they had used it on, like, forget the commercial. Like, they used this on, like, TV.
Yeah.
Where it's reaching so many people, you know? I don't know. Like, where do you draw the line on, like, newscasts? That's crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah. I saw it in my, I thought it was a joke. Honestly, I thought they were playing us. I thought we were getting punked. And I was like, and my dad's like, oh, Latinos for Trump? And I was like, yeah.
I mean, they're like, don't get me wrong, I can name a few people that I
Me
know.
too, especially coming from a small, reservative ass, like,
yes.
yeah.
Dang.
We got one right here. No, I'm just kidding,
That's
though.
crazy. Okay, so we can take apart, you know, Trump's message to Latinos voting for him, right? Forget the commercial, you know. That's crazy that, I mean, they even allowed it to be broadcast.
I know.
On, like, such a fucking platform.
Why would they even do that? Especially since Latinos are, like, mostly targeted by Trump.
Yeah.
So for the fact that they're like, oh yeah, put it in the commercial, or put it where hella Latinos watch it, or like where a lot of people are going to be triggered, and just like be like, oh yeah, Latinos for Trump. Nah, not love, not here in this household.
Dang.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
I know. It's
Wow. Okay, so now that Gutty has said that, you know, there was this Trump commercial to vote for him this coming election, and we had mentioned that the medium is more important than the message, and how we receive and send the medium is more important than the message as well. So I think, I mean, it's probably very clever of them to have, you know, been able to pull that off, because, I mean, it reached you. I didn't even know about it, and you're telling me about it, you know. And I think we have to, I think this is another way of how we should kind of be critical on how, like, we receive information, because if you, let's say you saw this commercial, like, on TikTok, right, easily we can think of creators who could be like, oh yeah, like, I made it, you know. And I think about, like, that song, like, the real women vote for Trump, like, that was so popular, and, like, I'm not a Trump supporter, but it was on TikTok, it was super popular, and it got me singing it, you know. And I think
it even got me singing it.
Yeah,
too,
and like you have to be, like, creative, and not creative, but you have to be smart about, like, the platforms you choose, because you're targeting so many people. And let's say you do have, like, a really small Instagram, like, of, like, I don't know, 300 following, you're still reaching 300 people in general than you would, like, in a day, because, like, I don't see 300 people in a day.
No.
Right, but I can post something on my Instagram, and it's
you'll
gonna
reach that,
like 300
number.
people. Yeah. So
Wow.
Okay, so now let's kind of like redirect the conversation back to Twitter. If Twitter was not a thing, do you think that the movement Black Lives Matter would have been as successful as it is now?
Kind of, just because there's still like Facebook, but at the same time, Twitter's more popular just because it has more people our age.
Yeah, it's
And
garnered
they're-
towards like, yeah, I agree.
And the elderly, I feel like they're more like, it's not that much a big deal. But
And I guess it leads to like the conclusion of like, you know, what we're talking about. Twitter is this platform that not only like lets us voice our like opinions and stuff, but it's this platform that's like a lot more powerful than we think, because we're able to spark social movements, start conversations, share memes. I don't know how to put it. Like, it's a tool that holds a lot more power than we know, and us simply tweeting out, you know, our tweets. We're not even like harnessing like the potential that we can use.
yeah,
And so maybe in that sense, Twitter is more important than the tweets.
yeah, for sure.
I want to thank Gutty for being in this podcast with me and allowing me to kind of discuss the subject with her and break it down and then kind of redirect it towards this platform. So, thanks for listening.